I get it, you've spent hours scrolling through glossy product pages, watching those perfectly lit showroom shots, only to end up with a TV that looks more meh than wow when you finally hook it up. The biggest frustration is that a lot of the hype around 4K OLEDs is built on lab numbers, not on how they handle a family movie night, a Sunday sports marathon, or a gaming session where the lag feels like it's pulling the carpet out from under you. If you're on the fence about splurging on a premium screen, you need a real-world perspective, not just a spec sheet. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Samsung 55-inch class OLED 4K S85F, the 2025 model, tries to bridge that gap between headline-grabbing marketing and everyday performance. At first glance, the contour design and the promise of object tracking sound Lite with Dolby Atmos sound like something you'd expect in a high-end home theater. The reality, after a few days of testing in a typical living room setup, is a mix of impressive visual fidelity and a few compromises that matter if you're particular about certain use cases. Let's start with the picture, because that's what most buyers care about. Samsung's NQ4 AI Gen 2 processor does a solid job of upscaling non-4K material. I ran a 1080p Blu-ray of an older drama series through the TV, and the AI-enhanced 4K clarity actually made the image feel sharper without the over-sharpening you sometimes see on rival panels. The dynamic brightness engine kept the highlights from blowing out, which is a nice touch if you have windows behind your couch and the room gets a lot of natural light. The real win for me was the expert-validated color and skin tones claim. In a side-by-side with a reference monitor, the skin tones in a documentary about wildlife looked natural, not too cool or too warm, and the colors in a recent Disney animated film were vivid without the neon glare you sometimes get on cheaper OLEDs. But the OLED panel isn't magic. Like any OLED, you have to be aware of the potential for burn-in if you leave static elements on the screen for hours. Samsung includes a pixel shift feature that nudges the image a few pixels every few minutes, which mitigates the risk for most users, but if you plan on using the TV as a dedicated PC monitor with a static taskbar, you might want to keep an eye on it. For most households that rotate content, Netflix, YouTube, gaming, live sports, that's not a deal-breaker. Now, onto the sound. Samsung's Object Tracking Sound Lite is a software-driven solution that attempts to place audio cues around the screen, creating a more immersive experience without a full-blown soundbar. In a quiet room, watching a nature documentary, the directional audio was noticeable. You could hear a bird fly from left to right and feel the effect. When I cranked up the volume for a football game, the Dolby Atmos processing added a subtle sense of height to crowd noise and the occasional stadium announcement, but it still lacked the punch you'd expect from a dedicated speaker system. If you already own a soundbar or a surround sound setup, you'll probably keep it connected and use the TV's speakers as a fallback. If you're hoping to replace a sound system entirely, you might find the output a bit thin for larger rooms. The smart side of the S85F is where Samsung leans on its Vision AI platform. The AI can analyze the content you're watching and automatically adjust picture settings for optimal contrast and color balance, which means you rarely have to dig into menus. Voice control works through Alexa built-in, so you can say, "Alexa, pause Netflix," or "Alexa, switch to HDMI 2" without a remote. In practice, the voice response is snappy, but it sometimes struggles with accents or background noise, which is a common limitation across most smart TV assistants. The remote itself is sleek, but the touchpad on the lower half is easy to miss in low-light situations, leading to occasional frustration when you're trying to scroll through a long list of apps. What about daily usability? The TV's on-screen menu is organized logically, and the quick settings bar lets you toggle HDR modes or picture presets with a few clicks. One hidden trade-off I discovered is the HDMI 2.1 bandwidth. While the S85F does support HDMI 2.1, the ports are limited to 48 gigabits per second only on 2 inputs, and the remaining ports fall back to 18 gigabits per second. If you plan on running two 4K 120Hz gaming consoles simultaneously, you'll need to prioritize which one gets the full bandwidth. Most people with a single console or a PC will be fine, but it's a nuance worth noting before you buy. Who should buy this TV? If you value a premium OLED look, appreciate AI-driven picture enhancements, and want a TV that looks great both in bright daytime rooms and dark movie marathon evenings, the S85F is a strong contender. It's especially appealing for families that watch a mix of streaming services, sports, and occasional gaming, because the picture processing handles each type of content without requiring you to